My friends all have better boyfriends than you. She announced a dinner with her friends, so I paid and left forever. Now she's still single, wants me back, and her friends won't even set her up anymore. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. This happened 4 years ago, but I'm posting about it now because I think I need to process what the hell just happened. I met Michelle when I was 25 and she was 23. We both worked downtown. I was an accountant at a mid-size firm. She was in marketing at some startup. We met at a happy hour through mutual friends and hit it off immediately. Michelle was gorgeous, outgoing, and had this infectious energy that made everyone want to be around her. For the first year, things were great. I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world. Michelle was fun, spontaneous, and seemed to genuinely enjoy spending time with me. I'd bring her flowers from the grocery store, plan little picnics in the park, cook dinner for her when she had stressful days at work. She'd laugh and call me sweet, and I felt like I was doing everything right. The problem started when she became close friends with Brittany and Ashley from her yoga class. Both of them had boyfriends who were, let's say, more flashy than I was. Brittany's boyfriend, Derek, drove a BMW, wore expensive clothes, and constantly talked about his investment portfolio. Ashley's boyfriend, Marcus, owned some kind of business and was always buying her jewelry or taking her to expensive restaurants. At first, Michelle would come back from hanging out with them and make little comments. Brittany showed me this bracelet Derek got her. It's gorgeous. Or Ashley said Marcus surprised her with a weekend in Napa. That sounds amazing. I'd suggest we plan a weekend trip, and she'd get this look on her face, like I'd suggested we go camping in a swamp. Maybe something a little more special, she'd say. The group dinner started about 6 months into Michelle and I dating. The rec would pick restaurants where the cheapest entree was $40. Then act surprised when I'd glance at the menu prices. Marcus would show up wearing a different expensive watch every time, making sure everyone noticed. I'm not broke, but I'm an accountant at a regional firm, not an investment banker. I budget for things. I comparison shop. I think spending $200 on dinner for 2 people is insane when you could make something better at home for $20. Michelle started getting quiet during these dinners. She'd sit there while Brittany and Ashley gushed about their latest gifts or trips, and I could feel her shrinking next to me. When I tried to contribute to the conversation, someone would inevitably change the subject or talk over me. Jake's more practical than romantic, Michelle started saying when her friends would ask about our relationship. It was always said with this little laugh, like she was apologizing for me. The worst part was watching her face during these dinners. She'd look at Derek's watch or Marcus's clothes, then glance at my off-the-rack button-down and khakis with obvious disappointment. I started dreading these group hangouts, but Michelle insisted they were important for her social life. Things escalated over the next year. Michelle stopped appreciating the little things I did for her. When I'd bring her flowers, she'd say, "You don't need to do that." But not in a sweet way, more like she was embarrassed by the gesture. When I planned a nice evening at home with her favorite takeout and a movie, she'd spend the whole time scrolling through Instagram, looking at her friends' posts from whatever expensive restaurant they were at. She started pushing me to spend money I didn't have on things that didn't matter to me. Designer clothes, expensive dinners, a nicer car. When I'd explain that I was saving for a down payment on a house, she'd get this frustrated look and say, "You're always saving for something." Her friends became more openly condescending toward me. Derek would make comments about guys who play it safe while looking directly at me. Ashley would talk about how important it was to know your worth whenever relationship topics came up. Michelle never defended me. If anything, she seemed to agree with them. The final dinner happened on a Friday night in October. We were at some steakhouse downtown with Brittany, Derek, Ashley, and Marcus. Everyone ordered expensive cocktails and the most expensive steaks on the menu. I got the chicken and a beer, which apparently was embarrassing enough to make Michelle physically cringe. Halfway through dinner, Derek announced he was taking Brittany to Paris for the weekend. Just because, he said, grinning. Sometimes you have to remind your girl how special she is. Brittany squealed and showed off pictures on her phone, while Ashley and Michelle leaned in to look. I watched Michelle's face fall as she scrolled through photos of first-class seats and fancy hotel rooms. Then Marcus pulled out a Tiffany box and slid it across the table to Ashley. Saw this and thought of you, babe. Ashley opened it to reveal a diamond tennis bracelet that probably cost more than I make in 3 months. She practically shrieked and started showing it to everyone while Marcus soaked up the attention. You guys are so lucky, Michelle said, but there was this edge to her voice I'd never heard before. She ordered another martini. I could feel the evening going south, so I tried to redirect the conversation. That's really nice, Marcus. Ashley, it looks great on you. Thanks, Jake, Ashley said in that patronizing tone people use with children. It's important to be with someone who prioritizes making you feel special. Michelle was getting visibly agitated. She kept drinking and making little comments under her breath. When the check came, I offered to pay for both of us like I always did. That's when she snapped. You know what? I'm tired of pretending. Everyone stopped talking and looked at her. What do you mean? I asked, though I had a sinking feeling I knew where this was going. Look around this table, Jake. My friends all have better boyfriends than you. The entire restaurant seemed to go quiet. Brittany and Ashley exchanged glances. Derek smirked like he was watching his favorite TV show. Michelle, I started. No, I'm serious. Brittany gets Paris trips. Ashley gets jewelry. What do I get? Dinner at Olive Garden and flowers from the grocery store. My face felt hot. I thought you liked. Look at what they get. Excitement, adventure, someone who actually tries to impress them. What do I get? Boring stability from someone who thinks splitting a Netflix password is romantic. Brittany looked uncomfortable now. Michelle, maybe we should. I'm embarrassed to be here with you, Michelle continued, her voice getting louder. They all know I could do so much better. The table was dead silent. A couple at the next table was openly staring. I felt like I was going to throw up. I reached for my wallet, pulled out enough cash to cover everyone's meals and placed it on the table. Then I stood up. Excuse me, I said quietly. Where are you going? Michelle demanded. Home. You ladies enjoy your evening. I walked out of that restaurant and drove straight to my apartment. I sat in my car for 20 minutes, replaying what had just happened. The woman I'd been in love with for 2 years had just publicly humiliated me, reduced our entire relationship to a comparison with her friend's sugar daddies, and announced that she was embarrassed to be with me. I went inside, poured myself a drink, and started thinking clearly for the first time in months. Michelle came home around midnight, stumbling drunk and apparently expecting me to comfort her. Jake, are you awake? I think I drank too much. I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. Made coffee, asked about my weekend plans, mentioned wanting to see a movie later. It was surreal. About last night, I finally said. What about it? What you said at dinner? She waved her hand dismissively. I was drunk. You know, I didn't mean it, but she did mean it. I could see it in her eyes, in the way she'd been looking at me for months. She was ashamed of me, ashamed of my car, my clothes, my gifts, my job, my way of showing love. She wanted me to be someone else entirely. I think we need to take a break, I said. She laughed. Don't be dramatic. I said I was sorry. Except she hadn't actually said she was sorry. I'm going to stay at my friend Tom's place for a few days. I think we both need some space to figure out what we want. Jake, you're being ridiculous. I packed a bag and left. Michelle called me 6 times that day. I didn't answer. By Monday, she was furious. Left voicemails calling me immature and demanding I come home so we could talk like adults. By Wednesday, she was panicked. Started texting constantly, promising we could work things out. I spent that week at Tom's place really thinking about our relationship for the first time, without Michelle's presence influencing my thoughts. I realized that for months, maybe even a year, I'd been trying to become someone I wasn't to make her happy. I'd been apologizing for being thoughtful instead of flashy, for being stable instead of exciting, for showing love through actions instead of expensive gestures. I'd been apologizing for being myself. On Saturday, I went back to the apartment while Michelle was at brunch with her friends. I packed all my stuff and left my key on the counter. I didn't leave a note because, honestly, what was there to say? She'd made her feelings about me crystal clear. I found a studio apartment across town and moved in that weekend. Changed my phone number, blocked Michelle on all social media, told my friends and family that we'd broken up, and I didn't want to discuss it. Michelle apparently lost her mind when she realized I'd actually left. Tom told me she'd called him crying, begging for my new number. She showed up at my old job, but I'd already put in for a transfer to our other office across the city. For the first few months, she tried everything. Had Brittany and Ashley reach out to me on social media, sent messages through mutual friends, even had her sister call me once, talking about how heartbroken Michelle was. I didn't respond to any of it. The thing is, I wasn't even angry anymore after those first few weeks. I was just done. Michelle had shown me exactly how she felt about me, and I believed her. There's no coming back from being told you're an embarrassment, that your girlfriend's friends all have better boyfriends, that everything you do to show love is inadequate. I threw myself into work and got promoted to senior associate within 8 months. Started going to the gym regularly. Picked up some hobbies I'd abandoned during the Michelle years. Reconnected with friends I'd neglected. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Through mutual friends, I heard bits and pieces about Michelle's post-B break-up life. Apparently, she'd thrown herself into dating apps, determined to find her upgrade. She went out with guys who looked impressive on paper. Finance bros, entrepreneurs, guys with expensive cars and designer clothes. From what I heard, it wasn't going well. One guy turned out to be married. Another was living off his parents' money and had no actual job. A third one expected her to sleep with him on the first date because he'd paid for an expensive dinner. She keeps complaining that men don't treat women right anymore. Tom's girlfriend Sarah told me one day, says they're all just looking for hookups. I felt a brief flash of sympathy, then remembered sitting in that restaurant listening to Michelle explain why I wasn't good enough for her. About a year after our breakup, the friend group she'd valued so much started falling apart. Derek, the Paris trip boyfriend, got caught cheating on Brittany with someone from his gym. Turns out his investment portfolio was mostly credit card debt, and his BMW was leased. When Brittany found out, she posted all the details on social media for everyone to see. Marcus, the jewelry-buying businessman, turned out to be running some kind of multi-level marketing scheme. When it collapsed, Ashley discovered he'd been buying her gifts with borrowed money and was actually broke. She dumped him and had to return most of the jewelry to pay off debts he'd racked up in her name. Suddenly, Michelle's friends all have better boyfriends situation didn't look so appealing. I started dating again about 18 months after the breakup. Nothing serious at first, just casual dinners and getting to know people. It was refreshing to meet women who appreciated thoughtfulness, who didn't roll their eyes when I brought flowers or planned low-key dates. That's how I met Emma. I was at Barnes & Noble on a Saturday afternoon, browsing the biography section, when this woman next to me dropped a stack of books. I helped her pick them up and noticed they were all children's literature. "Thank you," she said, smiling. "I'm a kindergarten teacher, always looking for new books for my classroom." "That's really cool. I bet that's rewarding work." "It is." "What do you do?" "I'm an accountant. Not nearly as interesting as teaching 5-year-olds. She laughed. "Are you kidding? Numbers make sense. 5-year-olds are chaos with tiny shoes." We ended up talking for 2 hours. Emma was warm, funny, and genuinely interested in hearing about my work, my family, my thoughts on everything from books to travel to what we'd wanted to be when we grew up. When I mentioned that I was thinking about going back to school for my CPA, She got excited. That's amazing. What made you decide to pursue that? Not, why would you want more school? Or isn't that a lot of work? Just genuine enthusiasm for my goals. We started dating slowly. Emma appreciated the small gestures I made. Flowers, home-cooked dinners, remembering things she'd mentioned in passing. She'd light up when I planned thoughtful dates instead of expensive ones. When I made her breakfast on weekend mornings, she'd tell me it was the most romantic thing anyone had ever done for her. You pay attention, she told me one evening, after I'd surprised her with tickets to see an author she'd mentioned loving. I've never dated anyone who actually listened like you do. With Emma, I felt like being myself was not just acceptable, but appreciated. She made more money than Michelle had as a teacher, but she was thrilled when I'd cooked dinner for us instead of going out. She loved our quiet evenings at home, our weekend hikes, our conversations about books and future plans. A year and a half into dating Emma, I proposed. Nothing flashy, just the two of us on the hiking trail where we'd had our first real conversation about wanting the same things in life. She said yes before I finished asking the question. Planning our engagement party was completely different from anything I'd experienced with Michelle. Emma wanted something simple and joyful. Good food, people we loved, celebrating the fact that we'd found each other. No competitions, no showing off, just happiness. That's where Michelle comes into this story again. Last Saturday night, Emma and I were at our engagement party at Tom's backyard. About 50 people. Nothing fancy. Just friends and family celebrating with us. Emma looked beautiful in a simple blue dress, and I couldn't stop smiling watching her talk with my parents, who absolutely adored her. I was getting drinks from the cooler when I saw a familiar figure by the gate. Michelle, wearing a dress that was way too formal for a backyard party, holding a gift and looking uncertain. My stomach dropped. I hadn't seen her in almost 3 years. I walked over before she could get to the main party area. "Hi, Jake," she said quietly. "Congratulations. I heard you got engaged." "Thank you, Michelle. You can't be here." I know. I brought a gift. I wanted to congratulate you both." "How did you even know about this?" "Sarah posted something on Instagram. I saw the address." I glanced back at the party. Emma was talking with my sister, completely unaware of the drama unfolding by the gate. "I just want to say I'm happy for you," Michelle continued. "You look really happy." "I am, but you need to leave." Can I just meet her, Emma, just to say congratulations?" "No. Please, Jake. I know things ended badly between us, but I've changed. I've grown up a lot." I studied her face. She looked older, tired in a way that had nothing to do with physical exhaustion. Her confidence was completely gone, replaced by something that looked like desperation. "Michelle, I'm engaged to someone I love very much. This is our celebration. You being here is inappropriate." "I know. Her voice cracked. "I made such a huge mistake with you. I see that now." "Good. I'm glad you figured that out. But that doesn't change anything, does it? I mean, we had something real before I screwed it up." I looked at her for a long moment, then back at Emma, who was now laughing at something my dad had said. "We never had anything real, Michelle. Real relationships don't involve one person being embarrassed by the other. Real love doesn't come with conditions about how much money you spend or what car you drive." But I was young and stupid. I didn't know what mattered. You knew. You just decided I didn't matter enough. I could see tears starting in her eyes. But I felt nothing. Not anger. Not satisfaction, not pity, just a mild annoyance that she was disrupting my happy evening. "I should go," she said finally. "Yes, you should." I watched her walk back to her car and drive away. Then I went back to the party, kissed my fiancé, and continued celebrating the best thing that had ever happened to me. Emma asked me later who the woman at the gate was. "Someone from my past," I said. "Nobody important." And that was the truth. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.